Keep a fire burning red in a Georgia representing for Kams Tv, you know. Big up Kidaki, Buxton Massive. Hey Babylon boy, you go on like Kams son. Red. Kams Tv, son. You burn this swine when I want you shine. The tree of life, them I want you climb, cause them heart no kind. Kams, I say them heart no kind. Buxton Massive. Kidaki. Red that.
Never joke, never joke, never joke. Oh, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you can even money, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. You can keep, you can even money. When you've been knocked for a bum, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, in a bill tell me money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. This is all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. Now I know what you can even money. Oh, Joseph.
Well, I invoke the WP's position that we are engaging in civil disobedience and non-cooperation with the government, and on that grounds I refuse to participate in the interview. The question in struggle, is not personal. Whatever sacrifice as a political activist or a political leader you have to make for your people, you have to make it.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Kams TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruptions over land and sea, where the wicked politicians, they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. There's one set of people getting oil money. There's one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see, sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, which has ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. Stop fooling the people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. I say, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. They got Breakford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam. Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London. Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews. Big up Paslow, Port People Governor. Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson. Hampton Green and Winston Jordan. And yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Wyndham Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
You put in a 12-cent meatball, you was gonna lice. I gonna give you a word of advice, take your meat out my rice.
You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T&W Harris Butcher Shop, located in the East Remvelt Market Meat section. Call us on 609-2049. Ask for Rastaman. T&W Harris Butcher Shop brings you the best in fresh cut meats and lots more.
Morning, neighbor, morning! Morning, neighbor, morning! Are you welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time? It is now 25 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour. It's the 10th of October, year 2023. Hey, me there, me house, me home. Hey, there is no place like home. Thank you very much for those of you who took care of me while I was outside of here. Yeah, thank you very much to those of you who let me into your homes and treated me like your own. You know, I'm grateful. I'm really, really grateful for the experiences, the exposure, the interactions, and so on. Hey, Saturday morning, boy. You gotta wake up alone this morning, you know, my buddy. Hey, yeah. I'll go on, boy. How you sleep? Anyway, it's another day. It's Tuesday. I haven't found out yet if there is any protest in front of GCOM, but I hope there is. And so big up yourself on the morning. Me get 2 chocolate here for you, girl. So I think me forget you. Me bring you chocolate. Not chocolate you may want, me bring you chocolate for you. Morning. Welcome to the program. It's another day. I noticed Vincent Jordan, morning. Man, I can't even look forward to a Christmas present because the 2.5 million at the court award is little. I see they say Anil Nandlal, that foul is supposed to be paying Vincent Jordan $2.5 million. Having lost the case, the unmeritorious appeal it was described as. You know, Vincent Jordan won that case, and then, of course, the court would have awarded, would have had to award cost and so on. But that foul appeal and so on, the appeal was thrown out as unmeritorious. And so the cost awarded to Jordan is $2.5 million. Small things, you see. That's one of the things in this society, the Guyanese society, you know. I can't understand it. The judges, like Guyanese people frighten money. Like Guyanese people are afraid of money. Because some of these rulings just fret me, Bano. You have to punish people for their misdeeds. Especially when it is willful. Right? You making joke. You carry a man through all them stress and strain. Psychological and emotional stress and strain. Those stress and strains usually impact people's health, especially when they're big like Jordan. Right? Nothing, I don't have a problem with the man's age, but he's an elder. I hope he ain't vexed because I said so. Thank you, only the last is strike, my brother. But, you know, when you get to a certain age, certain things really stress you out. I'll tell you a story just now. Right? Stress and strain. And so people must be made to pay for the stress and strain that they cost you, the emotional damage. $2.5 million joke. It's joke. Jordan should appeal the ruling and ask for more money. But I know the man is a gentleman. He can take his thing like he won't and go about his business. But he can't give me much if I want to ask a raise out of them. Right? Good morning, Mr. Jordan. Congratulations again. As they say, good always triumphs over evil. At least so we hope. In the meantime, Jack, they run into the CCJ. So don't be surprised if Anil decides to go into CCJ too, because one of their own said in the National Assembly that they had weaponized the CCJ against members of the opposition. But I got a question to ask you. How is it all these opposition people winning the cases, but they're individual cases, but we can't seem to win these political, these bigger political cases like the petitions? Why, man? The lawyers are more diligent on individual cases than they are on such cases as petitions.
Somebody was asking yesterday, what about the petition? And the petition will remove the PPP from government. Let me explain something to you. Even if the petition case were to come up today, and a declaration were to be made that the PPP is in office wrongfully, you don't just take them out like that. There's a process. You gotta go back to elections. Right? There might be a date by which elections have to take place, but you have to go back to elections. And so you still will be confronted with a party voters list. You still will be confronted with a list that is provides all the possibility for extreme amounts of fraudulent voting. Right? And so the fight for a clean voters list and biometrics is an important and ongoing fight. It has to continue. You can't sidestep that. So even if you were to win the petition, fresh elections are to be called. You still need a clean voters list. You still need biometrics to protect your votes. So let's keep that in mind. I say a lot of people sometimes we are not aware of the processes, and that is why I take time sometimes to explain these things. You remember when the courts, Claudette Singh had ruled that, was that in 97 elections? I can't remember the elections when Janet dashed him over her shoulder and Dunat Singh said, that's good. You remember that case? That case went to court, and the ruling was that the elections had to be vitiated. I think when something is vitiated, it has been watered down to such an extent that it's not meaningful. And so the PPP had to call elections by a given date. They had to call elections by a given date. Y'all remember that? I think the agreement between the PPP and the PNC at that time, I think 2 years were trimmed off of that term of government. Those of you who remember these things better than I do, you can share your memories. But I think the PPP lost 2 years on that government because the elections had to be held within 2 years. So if we were to win the petition tomorrow, it's the same thing that we would have to go through. We would have to go to another election. And so what is important right now, quite frankly for me, because we are within 2 years of an election, within 2 years or a year, quite frankly, this is 2023, yeah, let's say within 2 years, a year plus of an election. And so while it will appear that none of us is paying attention to petition, I would say focus your energies on fighting for a clean voters list and biometrics, because whether you win petition or not, or the time comes for the other election, for the next election, you need a clean voters list and biometrics. Good? So let's look at that. Let's focus our energies there. Don't let us be distracted. Clean voters list and biometrics. That is what is important. Okay, folks? And don't be surprised, at least I'm not surprised, that for 3 years plus, we can't bring a petition, electoral petition, to closure. Because the reality is that is the culture of Guyana. That's the political culture of Guyana. I'll explain that to you. Some of you, many of you can do a research and see how many petitions are before the courts that have not been ordered yet. And they've been overtaken by time. I'm sure the PPP has a petition in court. I'm sure the PNC might have had previous petitions in court. But they've all been overtaken by time. Because while they were sitting there waiting to be heard, other elections came and went. That's why Jagdeo said, or the PPP said, when it was clear that the 2020 elections were disputed, they want the coalition out, they want Guyana out, they are not going to any petition. Because they know whoever went to petition will be shut out and the next election will come and go and that petition will not be heard. It's the culture. What we have to do is fight to have that culture change. What we have to do is fight to have that culture change. The other day I had a discussion with someone and they were praising Granger for quote unquote doing the right thing in respecting the ruling of GCOM. But I was pointing out to them, Granger did the wrong thing. Granger was in breach of the Constitution and still is in breach of the Constitution, quite frankly. Because the Constitution says, when there is an election and a declaration is made, and the contestants have a problem, somebody has to be sworn in, and then those who have a problem go to court on a petition. It's the only way the Constitution provided for the resolution. You could only go to court to challenge the election after somebody is sworn in. And so from the time the first declaration was made that declared that Granger was the winner of the election, the coalition was the winner of the election, Claudette Singh had no choice, GCOM had no choice but to swear in Granger and let the aggrieved parties go to the court for a petition or via a petition. But rumor has it that every time they call in Granger to swear in, he said, not me. The results are contested and so I have my integrity to protect. I have my integrity to protect. The Constitution never talks about protecting integrity. It talks about swearing in and let the other party challenge the election via a petition. Understand that? The legal luminaries can tell me if I'm wrong, but that's my interpretation. So we have integrity, we want to protect our integrity, but protecting our integrity actually puts us in a bad spot in that we are guilty of breaching the Constitution. That's my position. That is why you ought to hear me usually say, I don't cause Claudette when I'm protesting a call for resignation and all of that because she's not doing right at GCOM currently. But with regard to not swearing in Granger, I don't cause Claudette. Because through the grapevine, I understand she attempted to do the right thing, swearing Granger. Swear in Granger. It is Granger, according to the grapevine, who refused to swear in because swearing in with questionable electoral results will affect his credibility. Was that a selfish stance? I believe so. Can we afford selfish leaders? I don't think we ought to. Because while one man wanted to protect his credibility, hundreds of thousands of persons were going to be exposed to the brutality of the PPP, and that is just what is happening. Right? Just that is what is happening. For one man's integrity, hundreds of thousands of people are under the gun of the PPP. Think on that. And so if you recognize any leader that is about himself, stay clear of them. Stay very clear of them. Stay very clear of them. That's all I want to say to you. Y'all could call him all kind of name. I wasn't setting out to call him name. All I was doing is interpreting what happened, and right? And let us learn from that. I usually say you don't have to have the experience to have the knowledge. Watch how the people learn from their experiences. Please do. Please do. I hope our government will watch other people and learn from their experiences. The PPP at this point, with all of the things I pointed out from another man's country, I'm sure there are blueprints for those things. Bilateral arrangements. Can the PPP in government approach the United States of America and say, well, hey, we see I got some powerful infrastructure. It easing your people's stress and so on. Can you share with us how we can get this thing done? Huh? Can you share with us how we can get this thing done? But no, we didn't mama gang ourselves. The problem in this country is that professionals are not allowed to be professionals. I heard Rhonda in her call yesterday when she was speaking, and I just heard a part of it again, saying that we don't have people with the brilliance here to create the kind of infrastructure we see in North America and so. Not true. I disagree with Rhonda. I disagree with anybody who comes and says our people are not smart in this part of the world, our people are not brilliant enough to create the kind of infrastructure and systems that we see elsewhere. That's not true. First and foremost, we have our own people, or people of our heritage who are in other parts of the world making news, if I can call it that, getting accolades. And so if we work to create an enabling environment, I'm sure we will attract them back home to do things. That's number one. And in many instances, those very people left these very shores and were able to use their skills and training acquired right here to excel. Number two. But I think above it all, if politicians remain politicians and allow policymakers to be policymakers and professionals to be professionals, then we will see some exceptional things. Then we will see the brilliance of our people. But when a politician is going to be political, not know anything about engineering, for example, and says to an engineer, that road you're building must not be more than 4 inches thick. Or it should not be more than 14 feet wide. Or there should be no curb wall. We don't have money for curb wall. That is where the problem is. Because that engineer now, in the prevailing political circumstances in this country, doesn't feel empowered enough to say to that politician, you know, you're wrong. If you do it that way, it is going to be destroyed within months. And as an engineer, this is the recommended way to do it. This is the right way to do it. And I'm not going to recommend anything other than this way. I'm not going to do it other than this way. And I stand by my decision because this here is my professionalism on the line. It is my integrity on the line. It is my credibility on the line. Not you, you're a political figure. Government change tomorrow, you go, and tomorrow I still remain an engineer. And so these are the engineering standards. And so these are the standards I will stick with. Any engineer who dare to tell the politicians that, what do you think will happen to them? They will take them and send them to Timbuktu, Blegeze. In short, a lot of the engineers, if not all of them, would be concerned for their own job because they will be fired for talking to minister, for telling minister you are, because minister are God. Many of us are God struck in this country, in this part of the world. I've seen in other parts of the world where citizens cuss their representatives, push them overboard and all kind of thing. Run them out of the their neck of the woods. But in Guyana, we bow down to them. We genuflect when we see them. As citizens, we have to take a different stance to the way we deal with our politicians. Some people call me a politician. I usually say I'm no politician, I'm an activist. Whatever y'all see me as, I'm saying that we have to take a different method, a different stance when dealing with our politicians. We are human beings alike. We all have our frailties. We all have our weaknesses. We are not the custodians of all knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And citizens have to see us like that. It is a privilege for politicians to be given the opportunity to quote-unquote lead, manage the nation's resources, etc. But they must be held accountable to somebody. They must be held accountable. Who is to hold them accountable? The citizens. The citizens must hold them accountable. But I can't understand, you have people who, a lot of people might feel I'm disrespectful when I call Mark Phillips a jackass. But I sincerely believe that is what he is, a jackass. When I listen to his utterances and I observe his actions, I can't classify the man as nothing else but a jackass. Ali, I can't classify him as anything but a dunce and an incompetent. So how am I going to classify the entire government? I don't see any of them got any virtue that is worth praising. I'm being very honest. Maybe there are people who see good in them because they get good out of them. But from where I'm sitting, I don't see good in them. They're poor leaders. They're poor managers of the nation's resources. And so I'll continue to call them as I see them. Right? Citizens have to call them out. Citizens have to... I can't understand you see people mismanaging the resources. People mistreating your community. They're not providing resources for the upkeep and upliftment of your community and your people. And then you, when they come into your space, you cozy up to them. My politics perhaps is personal. I can't cozy up to you if you're mismanaging my resources. I can't cozy up to you if you're mistreating my people. I will let you know that I consider you persona non grata. I really don't want to see you. I want to see the back of you. You ought to be gone from the office. And when citizens start to treat politicians like that, they will pull themselves together. Because I guarantee you, let me put myself in the group, a lot of us like attention. A lot of the politicians in this country, especially, they're like children, they like attention. If you don't give them attention, they don't feel good. So isolate them. Do that, and you will see changes. Do that, and you will see changes. Don't sit back and wait for them to just change. They don't change just like that, man. We gotta do things. I'm ready and willing to do things. I'm ready and willing to do things. Are you willing to join me to do things? Good point Dennis Emmanuel is making. Jagio gets chased out when he goes into Enterprise Village. Have you ever seen the Guyanese treat their leaders? How they treat them? They curse them. They approach them with arrogance. When they go into Indo-Guyanese communities, they are humble like a child. I can tell you that I've seen that. The people talk back to them. They had spit on Robson when he was at one report market. He couldn't pick his teeth except wipe the color spit. Oh, the only thing is black dog. Could I know? Why the color spit off his face? Not the police dare to arrest anybody or anything. But when they come into black communities, or black women especially, listen, my family knows, my daughter especially knows, you're not going to pose with no politicians if you want me and you get around. You want to pose with a politician, pose with me. Don't take no photograph with any politician. Don't shake their hand. They are not worthy of your innocence. Our women are always going and hug up and cozy up to some politician. I see the other day one of them telling Jaggy how he smell good. And she ain't even want to wash she hand that she shake. Some of us are what? Daft? We are enablers of this nonsense. I'm encouraging you, let's have a different attitude to the politicians, man. And then we will see changes. Anyways, it's good to be home. It's 4 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. There are a lot of people who have a lot of things to say, I was told. So I can open up the lines now. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. I just walked down the sideline down here. You know, I have an interest in what they're doing to the road. Can you imagine how much months they do on the road and they can't reach halfway yet? Huh? I just look at what we call the blinding. The blinding usually is a thin layer of concrete between the foundation and the surface proper. See, like they got a 1 inch or a 2 inch blinding. And when I looked at it, I say, if the edge of this road break, the blinding gone. And the road shall follow. I know what we're doing for roads in this country, honestly. Carly Live, good morning.
Good morning, Kadaki, and welcome back. Anyway, yesterday I got blackouts, I got cut off. But what I really meant to say, not that we don't really have the persons here to do the work. You see, the persons who know the work are people who are like us, because we went down and we learn everything. But we are being sidelined because of our ethnicity. So they would give to the friends and favorites, and they cannot do the work. Anyway, I'm glad you had a trip where you could see and compare and see what is life outside against that of what is inside. And I've heard many persons who have left these shores, like how you did, where some spend long because they live out there for years. They always see where Guyana is not even on the cusp of civilization in certain things, because we are way back, and because of our those who are in governance are like the install regime. They don't look to upgrade themselves. So there will always be where we will be lagging behind. Now with all the big wealth that Guyana got, all the people doing is putting the wealth to satisfy themselves and not putting the wealth in the country, that country as a whole could progress and try to get up to what is expected us in this 21st century. Now moving along, I understand that the land is belonging to the Maka people. I hope now that that has been cleared up. The government must be made to reimburse those people their lands and all whatever they lost. And when they go to reimburse them, the people must make up their minds to come together and rebuild their homes that they once had. And they must take it upon themselves to remember cooperatives and do self-help, because I would not trust the government to rebuild those houses. When you look at the things the install regime build and hand to people, and then with the mindset of them, you cannot allow them to do your electrical works and so, because sometimes you may think you got a wall and the slightest breeze it crumble on you. You might think you got proper electrical installation and you could be electrocuted. So the people got the thing, and I want all the other lands install regime has stolen and is trying to steal, like the Badal Strip and the different places. It must be restored to the rightful owners. And I hope Lincoln Lewis, I know he will continue in the fight for his land at Kingsley. All of our lands will be returned to us. And that is it. They have other matters that we will talk together, not on the phone. I wouldn't be able to make protests today, but I will be there at the big ceremony because I got to go to a funeral. And you know, if I see you, I know where you're living. So you hold it and put it in the fridge and keep it on. Thanks for remembering me. I want to enjoy the chocolate. Take calls from other people. Bye-bye. Welcome home. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rhonda. Let me just lend some clarity to that thing with the lands at Moko. But before I do that, the University of Guyana Institute of Research, Innovation and Entrepreneurship, UGIRE, is cordially inviting you to its Indigenous Guyanese Flowers Symposium and Exhibition. The theme is Utilization of Indigenous Flowers for Food Security and Sustainable Development in Guyana. It's a baker's workshop. That's tomorrow. It starts at 1 o'clock. That's 13 hours, and it will go perhaps up to about 4:30. It takes place at the Education Lecture Theatre, the ELT, or I think some of us call it a small lecture theatre, right, on Turkheim campus. Good. You are asked to RSVP on or before Thursday, October 6th. Well, that date is gone already. right? But you can call 624-1275 or 624-6091 to RSVP. I can tell you that you really and truly, if you can, go down there. Especially those of you who are into the business of cooking, whether you call yourself housewives or restaurateurs and whatever you're doing in the line of cooking and so on. Go down there and you will see some interesting ways in which local flours are being used, like cassava flour and sweet potato flour and stuff like that. I know the person who's behind this, and I think it's a good thing they're doing. The farmers of Mocha, I think, was integral in maybe providing the raw material and perhaps processing some of these very raw materials to create the flowers that will be on display. So go down there and support if you will, right? So we're saying this. I said, I want to add some clarity to that thing about the lands in Mocha. I've seen the affidavit of, maybe that's the CEO or somebody at Gaisuko, a senior officer at Gaisuko, who said that the lands at Mocha were never vested to the Central Housing and Planning Authority. It never belonged to the Central Housing and Planning Authority. Gaisuko at all times maintained ownership of that land. Right? The affidavit, I think, also challenges the claims of prescriptive right or adverse possession of the people who were dwelling there when their homes and homesteads were destroyed by the actions of Central Housing and Planning Authority. It's an interesting declaration because it says that, yes, the Central Housing and Planning Authority had not the authority. They had no right. Perhaps the lawyers call it locus standi, etc., to destroy the people's home to get them to remove. That's a twist. Because in my mind, folks can really go hard at Central Housing and Planning Authority now for compensation, etc. But that doesn't really remove the element of the land being the property of the state of Guyana, perhaps, the government of Guyana. The government is really temporary, so I will say the state. Because Gaisuko is a state entity. So while Gaisuko is saying the lands were never Central Housing and Planning Authority land, the land was our land and we maintain ownership of it. That statement is also saying the land is government land. Whether you like it or not, the land is government land. And so we're going to have these technicalities that I guess will have to be argued in court and so on. Those who occupy the lands will have to make a claim of adverse possession and prescriptive right, and the law has certain stipulations for you to satisfy before that claim can be argued and argued successfully. But the important declaration for me is that it's not CHNPA's land, and so CHNPA, in my mind, had no right, they had no authority to destroy the people's homes. And on that basis, if I were a legal person fighting that matter, that is where I will take it from. Good? So it's not particularly accurate for Rwanda to say, well, it's the people them land and so on. You know me, I'm an impartial arbiter when I'm dealing with these things. I'm here not to miseducate anybody. But I try to bring clarity to these issues so we have a clear understanding and we can appreciate the implications. Good voice note.
Hi Kidaki, good morning. Could you please play the speech that Dr. HINDS made at the Washington conference on the state of African Guyanese? Because he was saying that he tell them that, okay, he don't want regime change and what. But, you know, I would like to hear the speech. If you have it, if you can, you know, just play it on your program, let me hear it.
All right, again, let me give you some clarity. Dr. HINDS made a presentation at the conference proper. the open sessions of the conference. I don't think that is the presentation that he refers to when he spoke about saying that we don't want regime change. And so I wouldn't have access to that presentation, because that presentation would have been when they met with the Black Caucus. The Black Caucus meeting was a closed-door meeting. It wasn't an open conference. It was a closed-door meeting. I don't know who recorded it, if anybody was allowed to record it. But I guess Hakeem Jeffries and the others might have it as their record. Good? But I am sure that we didn't have access to it. We weren't privy to it. I have not heard it because it was a closed-door meeting with the representatives of the opposition and the Black Caucus. So I don't think it's a speech you might ever hear. Call A Live, good morning.
Good morning, Kidaki. How are you today? I just want to welcome you back home. I trust that your stay was well received amongst every other thing. But Kidaki, if you can just spare me a few minutes to bring clarity to a particular matter that continues to be out there, and people have different views on this particular issue surrounding the US 18 million signing bonus, right? And claims were made that Trotman received money, ministers of the former government received money. It's nothing of the sort, because Trotman, in his book From Destiny to Prosperity, which was lately published, give clarity to this whole 18 million signing bonus. And, we have to be careful when we hear things coming out from certain quarters, more so the People's Progressive Party, simply because we know what they're good at, propaganda and spewing of lies. So this book is a very important book, and I would recommend anybody to read this book to get a sense, not only on the signing bonus, also you have the myth surrounding the signing of the PSA, which is the production service agreement. So I would encourage persons to get a copy of this book. I think it's on Amazon. They can get it on Amazon. But for this morning, I want to touch briefly on page 40 of this book. And it's just a paragraph, I would want to read briefly to your viewers and listeners. And on page 40, it states here at section 4, Trotman received money. And this is what Mr. Trotman has stated in his book. The false narrative that Trotman and other ministers received the US 18 million and more has become an quote-unquote truth in Guyana. The letter that was leaked confirmed that the Bank of Guyana governor received the money and had it deposited in the Federal Reserve Bank in the United States. I fail to see how thieves would collaborate with Dr. Gobin Gango and then bank the proceeds with a U.S. government entity. In any event, the entire amount was transferred to the Consolidated Fund on or around 2018. Right? Lastly, if there was any secret stash, it would have been unearthed by now. I am personally aware that several local and foreign financial securities agencies have scrutinized my financial records and dealings, and nothing was found. the book for the state what that money was used for, because if I can go up a bit at section 3, the signature bonus, the term he defined what signature bonus is all about, right? He further stated that the money, the 18 million US, was used to fight the Suriname, not Suriname, the Venezuela and Guyana border issue, of which from this 18 million Kedaki, 15 million was set aside. 15 million US was set aside for the Venezuela Guyana border issue controversy, and the 3 million would have been used to build capacity amongst young people in the oil and gas sector. So I trust that this morning my little intervention here will bring clarity surrounding this US 18 million signing bonus, right? That apart, we as Guyanese have to demand and we have to call upon the government to come clean regarding the US 214 million cost recovery after audit. We must know what where that money gone to. We must, because this is our money. So we cannot just accept these frivolous excuses that a public servant acted on his own. No way. I served in the last government, and no way a public servant would act on his or her own. It's either he or she would have to be given directive by the policymaker. And in this case, I do not believe, this is my own personal view, I do not believe that Mr. Bobby Gosai acted on his own. Why wait after weeks and months after this revelation surrounding the missing 240 million US dollars to come to say to this public that disciplinary actions will be taken against Mr. Bobby Gosai? So, Guyanese, we have to avoid this veil of deception being placed across our eyes and really see who are the corruptors we have in the government. They like to refer to the 80 million signing bonus, the Granger administration, how we were corrupt and all manner of things. And I've just read an excerpt out from Trotman's book where that money went to. We don't know as Guyanese where this 240 million is. Eventually it moved to, you heard about some US 11 million, and then now 3 million US dollars. Something is definitely wrong. Somebody pocket the monies. And as Guyanese, we have to continue. I think the opposition is on record calling for a thorough investigation into this missing 214 million Guyana dollars. That is where our focus has to be. Demand from this Ali Jagdeo regime and accountability and transparency surrounding the 240 million US dollars cost recovery after audit. So, Kadaki, I thank you I can say so much on this book because it's very, very important. It has critical information that Guyanese need to know. And I would just want to encourage your listeners and viewers to arm themselves with a copy of this book, From Destiny to Prosperity. And when they read this book for themselves, they will come to realize that the People's Progressive Party Civic has been fooling this nation for the past probably how many years, right? So I want to thank you very much for the opportunity. I trust that, I can reappear whereby I can give my own understanding or my own analysis concerning this book. It has some critical, and it's not lengthy, it has some critical chapters that your viewers and listeners should read once they get their hands on a copy of this book. So once again, welcome, Paul. Thank you very much for the time, and may God continue to bless you for the good works that you're doing. Tata.
Thank you for your call. You know, y'all hear me outside the box. I like jump out the box. Not because then a book is truth, you know. They will tell you that not because in a book is truth. The Bible tells us a lot of things. A lot of us don't believe a lot of things in the Bible and so on and so forth. Right? But I can attest to the fact that from the inception we were told that the $80 million signing bonus, as they call it, was money dedicated to the legal fund to deal with the Venezuela-Guyana border controversy.
Morning.
Caller. Caller.
Who you got to have to control the place?
I'm on my program. Call me after 9.
Alright.
Yes, the lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Yes, I was saying that information has been out there all the time, but a lot of us, a lot of Guyanese, a lot of us, even African Guyanese, we like to believe what they like to believe, you know. I have an attitude that I say, listen, when people confront me with certain information and I say, listen, this is the case or that is the case, and they insist that they know what is the case, I leave it as it is. Because people will believe what they want to believe. People will believe what they want to believe. And so if until now Guyanese can't come to accept and acknowledge and understand that $80 million facilitated the move of the Guyanese administration to the World Court on the border controversy, I don't know what else you can tell them to believe. They will look at all the Trotman wrote in the book and say, you lie. Not because you write the book don't mean it is truth. Right? But if we really interrogate information, we will understand that in this case, I certainly believe that that money was used for the purpose of fighting the border controversy matter. Good? I haven't read the book. At some point in time, I tried to get a copy to read it and see some of the things Trotman has said. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. But you see, the society here, we are full of double standards. Because while the guardians of democracy and all of them are talking about the $80 million, nobody's talking about the $11 million that just disappear after they hid the report for 2 years. You know how fast money could travel after 2 years? You can't find the money. You might even find the smell of the money. Call your life. Good morning.
Morning. Welcome back. I realize you're home because you're going in and out and shutting down and all kind of thing.
Such is life.
Anyhow, you know, I said a friend and myself, we had a conversation, and it was stemmed to these people. We trying to pick out a project that was done or is ongoing by PPP that doesn't have any stench of corruption. Absolutely can't find nothing. Absolutely nothing. Every single thing that they put their hands on is corrupt. Even down to the little bit money to supply police people think is corrupt. You talk about that. Every single thing they touch is corrupt. Because they talk about the $80 million and it's now gospel that money was stolen, right? By PPP. I think it's time we educate our kids just like how they educate their kids about every single corrupt deal, and it gotta be gospel now that we do it, right? Or like this $200 and how much $1 million, These kids must know about it. So that when somebody open their mouth, they must ask what is going on. Just like how they said Burnham had money, he got money in Swiss bank, and his children come out and living in Switzerland. You understand? And one living not far from me here in Miramar. Right? We have to let them know all of these things. So generations to come will know that these thieves that destroy the country or got the country in the state in which it is, right? We have to let our kids know it's something that we have to preach to these little children and our own and other people own. And I wish somebody could make a book, write a book now and list every single thing. Let's start chronicling these things. And we can use it against them. Because every time those people lie become a truth. And we have to learn that tactics too. But we don't want to lie. We telling truth, and we truth will remain truth. That is what we have to do. Let's take this morning.
Like you know they say, until the hunter tells the story, the hunter becomes the victim. Or remains the victim. Until the hunter tells the story, the hunter remains the victim. Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's fund the billboard. Let's fund the billboard. That's a wonderful idea. Voice note.
Good morning, Kadaki and listeners. I want to ask a
welcome down to Guyana, Georgetown. What are you up to? Here on the seawall, Freedom Beach, otherwise known as Max Beach, right before Freedom Beach. People's Beach, you know. Marriott, already sold by Barrett. There's one of his New York friends who's going to sell it later to Manny Ram. When you can call it before it happens, and then a politician still insists on doing what you said he's going to do. You call out the corruption before it happens, and a politician can get so comfortable as Jagdew had gotten in 2015. You know, all powerful. Because he listened to Kwame, and he listened to Robin Singh, and he listened to Don Singh. Yes, sir. We are on top of the world. The people love us. We can do them anything. And you keep listening to them dudes, you know. Barrett, you
Morning, are you morning? Morning, neighbor, morning. Are you morning? Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, the Buxtonian Kidaki Amsterdam. It's dark in here. It's 24 minutes past the 7 o'clock hour on the 11th of October in the year 2023. Welcome to the program. How was your last night? How was your yesterday? What have you been up to? You make some money yesterday. How much money you make? Was it only the government salary? Or the private sector wage? Is that all you made? Or you were able to use your skill and do the side hustle and get something you can hold on to. Something you can pass on to the next generation. Remember, I say to you all the time, working with somebody or the government, in my eyes, is not success. Success is when you can create something for yourself. Something that you can pass on to the next generation so that they can build on that. Generational wealth can be dependent on somebody that you're employed with, somebody who you're doing a 9 to 5 for. You have to be determined in your own mind to create value for your next generation. And so I encourage you, continue to use those skills you have, continue to do that side hustle, continue to earn alongside what I might call your formal employment. Good? I remember talking to artist McKend, who operates the Artwork Studios in Delaware, and he told me, you know, of the many times he went to, well, not the many times, the many years he spent as a teacher in Botswana and then in the United States of America. But he was always working on the art. And then he got to a point when he realized, or he accepted, listen, it's time for me to spend more time on my studio, my side hustle, because it is providing and it has great capacity to do much more. And so today he has an art studio in Delaware under the name Artwork Creations. He has a Facebook page, so you can find him on Facebook. And of course, if you need his contact, I will be happy to share that with you. Eventually I'll be doing an advertisement for him, which I'll post, and so you guys will see and get all the details. But that's the kind of attitude we have to adapt, right? I spoke about Gigi's Caribbean restaurant over there in New Jersey, Orange, New Jersey. And in a short conversation, I learned that she was over there, she worked with somebody. As a matter of fact, the other person was just around the corner from her. She worked with them maybe to catch her footing. And then she moved on because she recognized that she had the skill that could empower her and her next generation. Good? So that's what we have to do. I see somebody is talking about the US deporting Venezuelans. How funny is that? Because as far as we are aware, nations like the US and so on has encouraged the Guyana government, maybe through the International Organization for Migration. I think there's a commission for refugees or something like that. I've encouraged the Guyanese government to accept Venezuelans as refugees to a large extent, and they've been giving them money which obviously the kleptocrats in the government have been enjoying, misusing and stealing and so on. But the US, with all of its strong systems in place, while encouraging weaker nations, as they call us a weak nation, to accept Venezuelans, are deporting them now? Is that what I'm hearing? I am sure that the Venezuelans would become a problem in the US eventually. Because I've seen them on the streets of New York, especially begging. I saw what might be considered a family of 4 with a little piece of cardboard written on it is, "Help us to eat. Please help us to eat, we are Venezuelans." I've seen on a couple street corners Venezuelans there trying to sell a thing or 2. And so, given the nature of the United States governance and security and everything else, I won't be surprised if they are deporting them. But in the case he says it's inaccurate information, I can't argue that. I don't live there. I can say what I saw in passing. Right? But here is what we can discuss this morning among other things. This is Brian Max. Brian Max is one of the, or was one of the guardians of democracy. I don't know if you all remember Brian Max, Mad Max. He was out there in 2020 doing, as people say, the worst with the guardians of democracy when they wanted to get the Guyanese government out. He now has a few things to say about Jack Dio. Not necessarily the PPP government, but Jack Dio. I like to make those the word missed me there. Let me call it separation, because I want us to realize that a lot of these folks like Glenn Lal and so on, when they come out and they talk, they usually don't have a problem with the PPP, you know. They usually have a problem with Jack Dio. And so they suggest to me that should they see the back of Jack Dio, the PPP would be the next best thing after sliced bread. But listen to Brian Max.
Welcome down to Guyana, Georgetown. What you up to? Here on the seawall, Freedom Beach, and why is it called Max Beach? Right before Freedom Beach. People's Freedom Beach. Already sold by Barrett and one of his New York friends. We can celebrate it to Money Ram. And you can call it before it happens. And then a politician still insists on doing what you said he's gonna do. You call out the corruption before it happens, and the politician can get so comfortable as Jack Dio had gotten in 2015. You know, all powerful. Because he listened to Kwame, and he listened to Robin Singh, and he listened to Don saying, yes sir, we are on top of the world. The people love us, we can do them anything. And you keep listening to them dudes, you know, Barrett, you keep listening to them banners. And just like what I did you in 2015, and we made you into the opposition, I'm going to show you again, I'm going to do it to you again. You're either going to be in the opposition, or we can make you into a minority government like we did to before. Because for a little boy from Jamaica, come up from the back down, make it up in life a little bit. You're not low enough. You think you're the boss. But you're not the boss. They got people in this country who are kingmakers. I'm a kingmaker. We make you, we break you. And And we show you just a little boy from Michael. You ain't nothing special. And you're gonna learn the power of the people of Guyana again. Just like what we did to you in 2015. Let me show you my face, man. Just like what we did to you, Barrett, 2015, brother. And 2011, twice we beat you. Beat you in 2011, beat you in 2015. Don't forget, Indians are at only 38% of the population. The other people make up more together. And with the 35,000 votes that I control, 5 seats. We can let you and the PNC fight up, take away all the big votes, you don't mind. But we can take the 35,000 votes, 5 seats. And we will hold the position of power in Parliament. And we will decide if your budgets are going to pass. We'll decide if your budgets will pass. And if you don't like the budget, and then you gotta come for all these billions you're spending and borrowing, you gotta come to us to borrow the money. You gotta come to us to spend the money. What we found is that you guys don't like, you can't be left alone for too long. When you're left alone, you get powerful and you think you're all massive and you can do anything. Not gonna work like that. You don't own this country. You're just a little boy from Jamaica. You've seen some adjectives. Describe it. Left alone, you're the banner that invest $300 million US in a factory that never made a pound of sugar. Left alone, you invested another $47 million US in the more sugar packaging plant. You sold it to some friends and family the other day. Next to nothing. As if it's your own. And your own. You gave people the last $10 million US to build a road to nowhere. To a hydro project I hear you talking about again. Like for 4 months every year, there's no water. You're going to try and tested one. Tuachimari Falls has water coming from 3 rivers. It has water 24/7, 365. Tuachimari. Boredom. It wasn't boredom. Engineers back in boredom time decided, Skipper, 3 rivers coming to this one. The water flows tremendous all year. Amelia, that hydro that bigger than Critic 2 sons you have between you foot. In your own words, you will keep GPL alive. And you'll drop billions into it to keep it alive for the 4 months when you have to turn back on GPL. You can't be trusted with power, brother. You can't be trusted with power. And people like me, the kingmaker of this country, I'll decide. We'll decide what is going to happen in 2025. Right now, I'm telling you, the road doesn't look very good. In between now and 2025, a Black Hawk don't touch them will pick you up and put you in an orange suit. For all the massive corruption that them got at you. You see, you couldn't even answer the question when the girl asks you what's true. You start trembling, your mouth get dry. And there's only a girl, she's not an FBI agent. Yeah? She in charge of you for nothing. And that alone that you can't even talk. Everybody from Jamaica. You don't own this country. You have people like me who own this country. We decide where this country going. Right now we decide not going to go with you. And right now Donald Ramatar and his crew are attempting to kick you out of power. Controlling the PPP. Right? We get pushed some firewood in there and see how far it can go. Because if the people of the PPP don't take away this massive power they've installed you in, you can take them down that bad road with you. So everything for you is for you. We already got the files on you. We already know how many buildings you own. We already know we have photographs inside your house when it was being built. Chandeliers, Italian marble floors. We got it all. We got a file on you. We got a dossier on you. And it's just a matter of time before we share the dossier with the US. And you know I'm the man who brought Rex Tillerson to Guyana, right? And without Rex, you still would have been running up and down the halls and the high courts with Anil begging for a day for the petition to be heard. I remember the 2015 petition hasn't been heard yet. Still waiting to be heard. You would be in that position if it wasn't for me. And we're not allowing you, Barrett. We're not allowing you on this road. You gotta do more for the Guyanese people. If you want to stay in power, you gotta do more for the poor people. You gotta do more for the nurses, the teachers, the policemen, the army. The people who work diligently every single month for that meager $80,000 to $90,000 you give them, $400 US, whilst you enjoy $4 or $5 million in salaries, perks, and benefits. Free electricity, free gas, free vehicle, free driver, free security, free travel overseas, free allowances, free entertainment allowance locally. Don't you think you deserve to give them something? Look what you were enjoying, brother. You're just the manager that we've put in charge. We own this country called Guyana. It's a company. We're the shareholders. The 700,000 people, we're the shareholders. And every 5 years we hold an AGM. We call it a general election. And we select a group of people to run the company for us. But you guys have forgotten that you're our workers. You're our servants, public servants we call you. You've forgotten that. Because you've gotten all taken up with power. We're no longer allowing it. We got 2 years to elections, and I'm going to do everything in my power. And you don't have to work hard to do it. You don't have to work hard. The tide has already turned against you. Even in your own party, they don't want you anymore. Nigel Jaramlal was supposed to replace Irfan. That was your plan. Irfan would have resigned quietly for health reasons. And a man like Nigel Jaramlal, who can't keep his hands off of those poor American children, you would have made it president because he's a better yes man than Irfan. Who are you, boy? You're just a little boy from Mexico. What make you think you're the god for this country, you're the kingmaker? I'm the kingmaker. I decide who does what in this country. And we got 25,000 people like me, independent-minded individuals, who change the dynamics of every election. When we decide, we did it, we went in favor of the AFC, and we gave them some power. They didn't behave well, and we said, take it back. Take it back, and they can never get it again. Camarades in the group, Patterson, never again, Cathy Hughes, never again can have power from us. We signed them off. We gave them a chance, a good chance, and they did nothing with it. Come 2025, we'll decide where we're going. And we know we're not going with you. Have a good day, brother. See you.
What people say mouth home story jump out. I see people saying don't be distracted. You know the thing with me is I don't usually look at the messenger, I look at the message. And there are lots of things that Brian Marks had to say there, right? Have you paid attention to what Brian Marks had to say? First thing I want us to pay attention to, according to him, the Indo-Guyanese population is about 38,000, 38%. 38%. Immediately deals with the myth that the PPP can win any election in this country depending on the Indo-Guyanese votes alone. That's the point Brian Marks is making. That's the point I've been making for quite a while. I have said to you all the time, let people stop telling you that PPP got superiority in terms of votes in this country. They don't have superiority. I will continue to say that the results from the last census have not been released because the numbers are there. And the numbers going to skin the PPP up. That's one of the first things I want us to recognize in this rant, if you want to call it, from Brian. But in the same note, he's saying, listen, we have 38%. We have 35,000 votes, which will make a difference. We have 35,000 votes, which will make a difference. I am the kingmaker, not Jack Dio. Somebody is asking who is we. I can't say definitively it was we that Brian Max is referring to. But I know for a fact, or I rather suspect that we is talking about is the middle class. Or they might see themselves now as the, what do you call them? I don't know if it's bottom, middle, and top class. Right? Upper class. I rather suspect the we that he's referring to is the upper class or the middle class, whichever one we want to classify them as. Or as I had said back in those days, the Portuguese mafia. Has anybody stopped to take a note of the percentage of Portuguese in this society? And in general, most times you talk about the Portuguese, you talk about them being in the middle class or upper class of this society. You don't see and hear them a whole lot, especially not on the political hustlings. But they're there quietly in business and commerce, commerce and industry, making their money, controlling big businesses. And like I have been saying all the time, big businesses have been impacting government and political decisions all along in this country because first and foremost, most political parties depend on them for campaign financing. And so they usually use their finances to wag the tails or to puppeteer the political parties and activists. And so don't dismiss what Brian Max is saying about them controlling 35,000 votes, 5 seats according to him. Because it is a fact that the middle class, the upper class, the money class exert tremendous influence on the politics of this country through campaign financing and all the wheelings and dealings in the world and so on. And so when Brian Max talks about we having 35,000 votes or 5 seats that we know we control, I'm of the firm opinion he's talking about the middle class and the Portuguese and so on. It's not sad that he's talking now, Max Gill. The questions say God's time. It is good and it is important that he's talking now so we can pay attention to what he's saying. Right? Because in short he's saying we, whoever we are, decide who runs this country. We give power to the AFC and they didn't manage it well, so we take it back. We made Jagdio powerful and he's misbehaving, so we're going to take it back. Many of us would want to know what went wrong, what Jagdio didn't deliver on. The rewards of regime change. I didn't mention last week that when regime change takes place, the actors who made it possible expect their reward. And so maybe Brian Max didn't get his reward. Maybe Glenn Lal didn't get his reward. And so all of them are talking their minds. Because they didn't get their rewards. But that's not our fight. That's not our fight. we have to recognize the importance of some of the things we are hearing. And we have to see how we can use it to the best of our ability. Somebody needs to perhaps find Brian Max and court him so that they can bring that 5 seats over to the opposition side. How about that? Do you believe that the opposition can convince Brian to bring his 5 seats over? I don't know if he can, but it might be a worthwhile try. You never know. He pointed out how corruption is done in this country. He alleges that Jagdeo has already sold the Marriott to somebody overseas who will then sell it back to Maniram Prashad. I think that's his name, Maniram Prashad. Do you know Maniram Prashad? Maniram Prashad has always been close to the PPP government. As a matter of fact, I think at one point in time he might have been operating in the Ministry of Tourism and Industry. And so he's the front man for Jagdeo especially. I can't remember if it is Maniram who had bought Palm Court. Remember when they were giving the Rahmans a hard time? I think the Rahmans were the owners of Palm Court. I remember that business there had brought in some slot machines long before casinos were the thing of the day in Guyana. And they had seized all the slot machines and they had a ding-dong battle. Shortly after the Rahmans went out of business, they sold Palm Court. I think at the time the owner said with that incident and so on, he has no confidence in the country, in the economy, in the government, and he was going to sell out and move out. And so Palm Court was sold. Somebody was Minister of Trade and Industry at the time, Tourism, Industry and Commerce. I think that's the right name of the ministry. Tourism, Industry and Commerce. Bought Palm Court. Y'all do the research. Might very well turn out to be Maniram Prashad, but I can't remember who the minister was that bought Palm Court quietly. And so what Max is pointing out is that the Marriott is going to be flipped. Sell it to an overseas person and then they will flip it back to Maniram, who is Jagdeo's point man. Just like I argued the shares in GT&T, the 10% shares were sold to some Chinese or Japanese or whatever, let me call it Asian entity. That to date we can't know the name of the entity, we don't know who the owners of those shares are. Maybe Harman knows, because I remember Harman went to investigate because there was a $2 million US outstanding or something like that. I can't remember. Sometimes I choose not to remember. But I know Harman made that trip. I don't know if Harman ever found out who the people were that bought that 10% shares. But I've always argued that those shares were bought and sold to the PPP. That transaction was, for me, some paper transaction that transferred those shares to the PPP. Brian Max is basically telling us how corruption is done in this country. He's also saying Jagdeo is the man, not Irfan Ali. Once in this 50-minute rant was Ali mentioned. And that reference was that he was to be replaced by 2-inch Dharamlal. But Dharamlal screw up his chances. Because with the sex scandal, I believe Guyanese don't want to hear the name of Dharamlal. And so it would seem as though Jagdeo can go through with the plan, according to Max, to replace Ali quietly. Good. What else did he talk about there? Rex Tillerson coming to Guyana. Who is Rex Tillerson? Wasn't Rex Tillerson the first ExxonMobil representative that came down here? Wasn't it the first, I can't know if he's CEO, I can't remember. But what might have been the role in Rex Tillerson in regime change in this country? That is what we have to ask. Because according to Max, if he didn't bring Rex Tillerson, Jack Dio would still have been begging the court for a date to hear that petition. So Rex Tillerson must have had an important role to play in the change of government. And so, who is Rex Tillerson really? Did regime change really take place? Was Rex Tillerson one of the facilitators? Those are the little things I want you to pay attention to. I'm sure there's a lot more which I perhaps have missed. But enough information for us to judge the state of play of things in this country on. Enough information to educate us, to help us to see the light. Definitely enough information to say to us that if we can really get the votes out in the communities which support the opposition, we stand a chance. A very good chance of removing the PPP. He said, we don't mind, we can take with 5 seats and let the PNC and the PPP to fight for the rest. Because when that happens, we either hand the PPP a minority government that will make them come to negotiate with us, or worse yet, we put them in the seats of the opposition, put them out of government. If there is to be a minority government in this country that will have to negotiate with the 5-seaters according to Max, I would rather know it's the PNC, the coalition, the opposition. Why? Because we have seen how the PPP deals with governance when it comes to minority government. Remember Ramatar, and he mentioned Ramatar too. Remember Ramatar was the first minority president in this country, or the first president to lead a minority government in this country, as far as I know, in my lifetime perhaps. And what did Ramatar do? He didn't seek to negotiate with those who held the majority in the parliament so that his government could survive. He prorogued the parliament. He said, I'd rather dead before working with y'all in the opposition. Because it means y'all going to hold me accountable. And I will have to serve the people of Guyana in a satisfactory manner. And I'd rather dead than I serve the people satisfactorily. I'd rather dead than manage the people's resources in partnership with their representatives. I'd rather dead. And so he did what? Prorogue Parliament. And that is what gave us the 2015 elections, which they lost outright. I believe the coalition in office, even as a minority government, would be more disposed to negotiating with the opposition, with the people's representatives in Parliament, to move this country forward. I'm of that firm belief. And so I would bet, I would argue, I would try, I would fight, even if there is to be a minority government in this country, for the opposition to be that government. And so I'm encouraging us, let us start to do the work on the ground that is necessary to get the votes out, that is necessary to show that the opposition has the numbers to win an election, or at best to win the PPP. That's my encouragement. I notice, I ask myself ever so often, before oil started pumping, we were talking about resource curse. And every time I read the news, I ask, when will the resource curse get worse? When will the resource curse get worse? Because I'm quite convinced that we're experiencing that already. I see, is it Jagdio saying that they will use sources from an alternative place for the gas to shore project until such time that the United States of America approves financing for it. I want you to listen to that carefully. The government of Guyana will use alternative funding to begin or continue or execute the gas to shore project until the U.S. approves funding. Is there a suggestion somewhere there that the U.S. is dragging its feet on funding? Because a lot of people are saying that the last report I saw on that is that Guyanese will be made to pay. Who's that? Guyanese will be made to pay a lot of money for electricity that they do not need or can't consume when we do that gas to shore project. Usually the international lending agencies pay attention to the details, the finer details of projects. And so it is asked, I'm wondering if it is that these agencies have recognized that it is a waste of taxpayers' money. And so they're dragging their feet and maybe demanding more clarity on such a project. And Jagdio, in his usual arrogant way, is saying, listen, we don't have to wait on them. We pumping oil, we got money, we're going to use money from somewhere else. And whenever they approve the loan, we will take it. Right? That's a question to ask. How much more debt are we going to allow the PPP to put us in, using our oil resources as collateral? Because that's what they do. We are an oil producing nation. We expect plenty money. And so lending agencies should not have a problem lending us because we will have money to repay. And so they go and they take loans from left, right, and center. Not anticipating that anything can go wrong at any time. And we can end up in some situations of serious debt. That burdens left for our next generations. Are we paying attention to that? How do we hold the government accountable? How do we stop them from piling debt upon this generation and the next generations? Those are some of the things I encourage us to pay attention to. And not pay attention passively, but sit and think about ways and means by which we can counter, by which we can prevent, by which we can obstruct, by which we can stop this administration. Somebody's asking, do they really have 4 seats or 5 seats? I don't know if they have 4 seats or 5 seats. I know they have influence. I have no doubt that they have influence. Do you want to gamble? To find out if they have 4 or 5 seats? If they can pull it off as Max described it? I don't want to gamble. I want to know that if the influence that they peddle is in my corner. I would want to know that. And so I'm saying it can't hurt to form a strategic alliance. If anybody will form a strategic alliance with them, why not me? Why not the opposition? I would prefer we do it than anybody else. That's my position. It's 8:05. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. Let's discuss some of the things that Max spoke about. Let's discuss the way our resources are being managed. Last, before I open up the lines fully, did you hear him? Why is it public servants have to be satisfied with $400 US, $500 US a month when Jack Dio and his friends and cronies are enjoying $4 million and $5 million a month, along with a whole set of allowances? Why? Why? So if you think those of us in the opposition are the only people saying that public servants deserve better and should fight for better, here's one of the so-called guardians of democracy, a friend of the government, saying, y'all are not doing good. You're not doing fair. You're not doing right by the public servants. And you ought to do better for them. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. Let's talk about Brian Max and his declarations. Sometimes I don't always have to be the messenger. There are lots of other messengers out there. Let's talk about these things.
Hey, good morning, Kadaki. You asked the question about Rex Tillerson. Rex Tillerson was the former head of Exxon.
Call it live. Good morning.
Good morning. Rex Tillerson was one of ExxonMobil CEO. He retired, and he was in Trump White House as a secretary, advisor to Trump, I think. So now Max just say that. Now it's really coming to point. What was the big deal? Have a good day.
Thank you. In fact, you remember Rex was perhaps the Secretary of State. Maybe the first Secretary of State for Donald Trump. Because I know he left Exxon and he went to work for the Trump administration. And note I said earlier, sometimes I don't know a lot of things because I choose not to know a lot of things. So the question is still out there. Was Rex Tillerson, let me call it a conduit, or the precursor to regime change following the 2020 elections? Because Brian Max said, remember, I brought Rex Tillerson to this country. Otherwise, you still would have been begging to get the petition heard. It therefore means, from my understanding, that Rex Tillerson wasn't just an ExxonMobil CEO. It was not his sole purpose here. He must have been an integral partner in the plot for regime change, and that's the point I was trying to make. I hope it's clear now. What's the relationship between Rex Tillerson, Brian Max, and regime change in this country? He worked for the Trump administration. Which administration was responsible for regime change? That's the kind of connections I want us to make. The lines remain open. 6225933 is the number to call. Right. So I'm being told here by one of our faithfuls that Tillerson came twice, once as CEO and the other Secretary of State. So in which instance was he brought by Max? Right? Max said he brought him. And by bringing him, he solved Jack Dio's problem of having to beg the court to hire the petition. That says to me that he was instrumental in effecting regime change so that anybody going to a petition is not Jack Dio, but the opposition. Call it live.
Yeah, good morning, Gaddafi. You know, truth is like cork, it got to float. And as the plot thickens in this country, after the resounding meeting, conference with Rickford Burke, a lot of these people gonna come up and spill the guts. And that's happened to this man. Because remember, there's this facts-finding commission that is heading our way. And people who sit down to watch to see what Isabel Young did with Barrett, who said the case done at the seat still is a fluent case, it's still going on. And then later, Reuters in the place, lots of them will try to come clean because they realize that time is catching up with them. And I am glad, as you say, you're looking at the messenger. You look at the message that the person has brought out. And he has given out a lot of food for thought in his how many minutes he was on the air talking about all the atrocities that according to him, he has hands in. So let us wait by the time the facts finding come into Guyana, everything gonna be out there. And there is where she mentioned that with the rapist, there is where there is truth in the rapist story. Because if he didn't know it as truth, and I'm quite certain he know that more than me and you, that he could stand up wherever he is and put something like this out into cyber world, and he know it's gonna gather speed to let the world know because of the rapist actions. That's why he was sidestepped for the presidency. And many persons are talking about Ali's thinning out and the different his looks how he's looking now. Do we know if it is something that is I want to call no word to thing, but can we say this thinning out? Is it a natural thinning out, or is it a thinning out that is being brought on by purpose? All of these things we have got to watch when we see certain things playing on the horizon. Also, I would be glad that the people out in the country, all races, could listen to what this man has said and sit down and study it broadly. Now moving along, you know, we got this problem in the village where the youth, the community center. Well, the installed chairman, because the chairman does not live within the Blankenburg Hague NDC. She lives out of there, and she's the chairman for here. But we wrote 3 letters to the minister, and the minister never came at our request. But since this girl coming, this girl Kanya, she is making it a thing that she is arranging meetings. She, the chairman, is arranging meetings with the minister. I think it's Battle Lion, and she wants the members of the community center management committee to attend these meetings whenever she called these meetings. And I could remember I told you out there that there is a push for them to grab the community center. But we as the management, we are going to stand firm and hold on to that land, because that land is ancestral. It was given down to the village. But why I hear this? Because the minister had the keys for that place. $10 million was being given out. Now you hear nobody didn't get the money. They didn't do no proper work. And the minister is on us again to have the keys, which we will not be giving up. Because when we gave them the key, like how we talk about the road, Kadaki, they had the key from November of last year. And it was still May this year when they heard that we will send them a lawyer letter to retrieve that key. Then it was handed over with no proper works being done on the community center. We will not be duped into the minister again. And I'm saying it aloud, that should they have a way of coming and breaking and entering into the building, should this happen, we will be going the full 9 yards. We ain't going to end up at the CCJ. We will end up at the ICJ. That the CCJ is PPP court. We will go to a court where we can get justice, because we should not allow ourselves to be trampled by this installed regime to come and take over our things. We must not allow it. And for you public servants, I'm glad you heard that. Last, now these teachers that were earpicked to have this money, I think, Kadaki, if we do a proper search or coming out of the facts, we may realize that those teachers who were called and being given this money, they could be the dangling bait to other teachers to say, see what they did for the 2020 election. They were paid up $75,000 plus how much was the price, nobody don't know, and then they are being rewarded again for what they did. And there could be something to entice other teachers to do what they do, but I want the teachers them to realize the atrocities they have shown on Guyana with what they have done. Last, I would like to take this opportunity to say on behalf of GCOM members who are being incarcerated, running to the courts every time for over 3 years, to send out thanks to all those people who were out there on Tuesday last. Ms. Roxton Myers has asked me to convey their sincere thanks for all of us who stood up at the magistrate court in Brickdam. I think that is Brickdam. And in other words, I think it's Avenue of the Republic. We were out there before they got to the court, and we gave them strength. And we must continue to stand up for people like Lowenfield, Mingo, Valda Lawrence, and Sharon Joseph, Carol Joseph, along with Miss Myers. Those people did a good job at the election. And it is only fair that we give them strength in their hour of need. Because when you see you're being faced with trumped up charges and you got to go to court, knowing you're not guilty and knowing with this wicked and vindictive installed government, you could be given like, wow, what happened to me? And I hope that don't happen to them. So for Ms. Myers and the others, we will stand with you and see you through to the end. And we know you will be victorious, because no liar thing can't come to pass. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your call. 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. It is now 19 minutes past the 8 hour. I want to raise the teachers. I remember seeing that the teachers are, they met with Ali and so on, and Ali has proposed a program for them of $15 million mortgage access to $50 million in mortgage for their homes and so on. I know that I've seen the forms. The forms were sent out. They are currently doing a survey, if I can call it that, of teachers who didn't get state land, or teachers who didn't get land for housing, and teachers who got land but are unable to build because they don't have the financial resources. Right? We're approaching an election year. And so be aware that the state's resources are being used in order to, we usually say buy votes, in order to influence voters to favor the PPP. And so this 50 million mortgage access is, for me, a move in that direction to influence educators to support the PPP in government for the next election. But teachers must ask themselves, and everybody must ask themselves this: what is the point of accessing a $50 million loan when your wages and salary will not allow you to repay it comfortably? Are we not putting our hats where our hands can't reach? Is that what the Ali administration is forcing teachers to do? We'll talk more about that. Caller, thank you for your call.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, caller. You're live.
Wonderful program, very interested and educational. Pertaining to the teacher, let me do that part first. The teacher, when you look at the way the president, the audience he has with the teachers, you can see that they're reading from a script or they was groomed to see what they said. Because I can't imagine when I heard a teacher this is supposed to be her teacher, when she stand up there and the whole world was listening and seeing her, and she asking the president if he can please give teachers 1,000 top-up in their phone, it will go a very long way for them. $1,000 she asked me for $1,000.
$5 US.
Not US, $1,000.
$5 US.
$1,000 top up in their phone, and it will come along. It will go along way for the teacher. That show the needs of the teacher. She asked me for 1,000. So just show the level of how some people are thinking, and these are heads for schools. Those are the handpick and took there. You know, they have to read the script. That's how they get a chance to go there. You know, and they're not in the favor of raising a salary. They're in the favor of getting bonus and so on. So when you listen to this, you see how shallow there is. So you can understand the crisis that the educational system is in. I know there are many hard-working teachers out there who willingly teaching our children and who willingly deserve, you know, to have a better life, a better salary and everything. But then you got some who's stabbing in the back. Maybe they get a hamper or they get a little 50,000 grant. That's why they go and sing the tune for the PPPs. Anyhow, I'm calling from Essequibo. We are experiencing every day and night blackout in, blackout out, blackout, 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 blackout. I know the former administration had put in 2 new generators set at Regina. So I saw a sign to inquire if we get new generators set in Essequibo. How come we experiencing blackout like I see you guys experiencing in Charleston and the West Side and other parts of the country? When I find out, I understand that these guys, they're not working the new generator set that the Granger administration put in. They went back to the old system, to friends and cronies, renting the cat set. About 5 or 6 cat set they have in there. And so like they share problems one after the other coming up with. And so we the people must suffer. We the people in Essequibo have to suffer for friends and cronies, for benefit. Kadaki, I know, Guyana is at the boiling point. God forbid when we explore. I heard Mr. Max too. You say you're second current. What do you think about Mr. Max? I know Mr. Max didn't just run out there and start it from his phone or off his head. They had to have a meeting. They had to have a discussion. Who and whoever. He's the one, he's the messenger. Like I like the phrase you said, don't want the messenger but the message. So he was the messenger to bring the message. And I hope that, you know, you guys in leadership and all other leadership in other political parties, except the Jagabat party, are taking note And I like when you said, that reaching out. You see, so that influence. That guy is not talking with water in his mouth. We all know in the 5-month saga, they were calling Granger and all kind of name and everything. But God don't like ugly. Each day, the evil and the wickedness that was unleashed to Mr. Pompey, Mike Pompey and the rest of them, who have, stretched out their land from the shores of America to the shores of Guyana, because regime change. And this is where they ended up. And we're going to see right where the KGB will end up. I always have to people out there, because I normally have conversation in politics with people, share views and ideas, and listen. And I said to everybody, if the PPP is accusing the coalition who was in government then, was trying to rig the election, and they have the evidence, well then let us hear the election petition. Let us hear out of 60 what happened during the recount and all the fiasco, the anomalies and everything. Let the Guyanese people hear the truth. They run out and they bring in a commission of inquiry, and the commission of inquiry come out with the result that everybody knew they had to come with, because they get people come and say that the coalition was trying to rig the election. They got a set of people charged before the court. 3 years now running and counting. And up to now, they had the evidence. They should have seen the people that got to jail already. So where the evidence there? But the evidence is clear. The Guyanese people know exactly who was trying to rig this election. And that is why they're out there paying people and running around the place. Ministers coming to SK every week, 3-4 of them, sharing out grants and contracts and so on to shut people up. Nobody from SK was talking about this blackout every day and night you get in. Them ain't speaking out about this. You know how much of them throwing away ice cream and chicken and a whole lot of things that is fighting with them? But they ain't calling it on the different programs. They don't call it. Newsroom and they don't report this thing. Newsroom and them don't report it. NCN they don't report it. Critics don't come and report SDK Fiasco we go through the blackout. But God don't like ugly. God do not like ugly. And every wicked thing that they've done to this nation and they unleashed in this nation from 2020 to now, every day it has been revealing in clear sight for the Guyanese people to see, which will make the job easier for the opposition. But what they need to do, get on the ground. Go and just encourage the people to follow social media and keep updated with what's going on. And the people will see for themselves. You don't have to tell them to vote for you. They're going to give you that support. But you need to remind them, go on social media, go on you guys' page and so on, share it and mark and them other pages. Let people know it and go and get credible information. That's all you have to tell them. Go and get credible information and you judge for yourself. And the people will judge and will judge right. I thank you. You have a blessed rest of the day and you keep up the good work, my brother.
Thank you for your call. It's interesting, very, very interesting what this caller said about the Essequibo blackout situation. I'm sure you heard him. His understanding is that they're not using the new generating sets that the coalition had installed and stop that blackout blues on the Essequibo coast. They've gone back to the days of old, the things of old, using generating sets from their friends. Those Caterpillar sets were dying when the coalition was in office. They were dying. But again, money got to make. And so if this call is correct in his assertions that is what they have gone back to using, instead of using the new generating sets which the coalition had installed, then you see it's the same MO, because look at this. GPL was doing well under Adams. But the PPP perhaps thought they couldn't corrupt him, so they fired him and they took back Dindial. Dindial was the man at GPL when GPL was failing under the PPP. So much so that the PPP was not likely to retain its services while they remained in power. Because if you remember, his contract was up for renewal and they had refused to renew it. But as soon as they got back into power, what they did? They brought back Dindial. Why? There must gotta be something in there for somebody. Somebody must have had an interest in retaining Dindial. Guy was GWI was doing well enough when Van Charles was there. Alright? You can argue if you want to. Van Charles was a political activist and so on and so perhaps a political hiring. But they got rid of Van Charles and they did not replace him with a professional. Sheikh Bashka is the man they sent there. A PPP former minister and failure. That was at the head of Guywa when it was failing before the PPP lost power again. And so all that the PPP did when they returned to power is to remove competent people who were making things work, and replace them with their political hacks and cronies and their corrupt bodies and friends. Meanwhile, the citizenry is suffering. The caller mentioned the amount of things that people are forced to throw away on a daily basis. My heart bleeds to that young man. I understand he's from Bartica. That was showing how much ice cream and so on he had to throw away from his small business. Where do you think people will get capital to restart their businesses? In the Indo-Guyanese communities, the possibility is that there will be silent payouts, silent grants given to them to restart, to restock. But in communities like ours, where we know the PPP doesn't give a damn about us, the government doesn't give a damn about us, how are we going to restart our businesses? Many of those businesses provide for our households. And so they have left us exposed. Right? But where are the people who will represent our cause? Shouldn't we band ourselves together and take to the streets in protest and demand recompense? Voice note.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning, viewers. The PPP on life support, soon they would be gone. The on life support.
We'll return to the voice note.
Mr. Hines and Mr. Kadaki, you guys keep the pressure up. You keep the pressure up. They have to go on. Guyanese was make sure that they work hard, vote, and get them out of government by.
You see the kind of behavior of the PPP that says we will reward our own at the expense of the nation is what the society has accepted. Because the mantra of many of our people is money got to make. And once I make money, I don't care who's suffering. I remember having a discussion with someone while I was there in the US who happened to know one of the persons who are always supporting the PPP. An Afro-Guyanese, and he said the question was asked of the Afro-Guyanese, how do you feel? Call on the line. When you see the PPP treating your people so badly, and you are with them supporting them. And the answer was quick. They don't treat me so. They just treat me good. I just get things. Selfishness on the part of many is what is responsible for the whole society suffering the way it is suffering. How do we fix that? Sometimes I say some people have to be lynched, and there are different types of lynchings. We have to call out some people for their selfishness, for their egos. Force them to set them aside and recognize the greater cause, for the greater good. Call A Live, thank you for holding.
Yes, good morning to one and all, Kadaki. You know, sometimes we need to realize and understand that this government is not a regular government. It's not an ordinary government. This is more like this is transactional government, right? You see, they're doing. Look at all these infrastructure projects they're doing. Not only are they discriminating against areas and neighborhoods and these kind of things, they are using people. They are also doing works in the areas that don't even need the work, right? Meaning that they're doing back work they've already done before. and they're using their rejects. They're not saying that they're going to use qualified people to do these work that was already done and so on. They're using even people that they decided, you know what, you can't do this work no more. So we knock you up. So they're using these same people. So it's all transactional. They're bringing these people in and say, well, listen, you messed up before, but here what? We got to eat. We can give you something. You can give some crumbs to eat. So take this big contract. They say take this big contract and we gonna of course you're gonna inflate the costs and all these kind of things, but we will hit more. They're gonna be like a 70% deal or whatever it is. So it's all about the corruption. So all these things that you see they're doing around the place, not only are they doing it because they want to brighten their areas, their constituencies, but they are also stealing, because look at all, like I said, look at all the contractors. They are their people. So they're trying everything that they're doing, every single thing that they're doing. They find themselves to make some money. Even if they have to give out something to people, it was cash you gotta get to people, or food, or even building materials. What are they gonna do? They're gonna say to themselves, okay, we're going to give you some building materials, but you have to go to this store to buy the building materials. Their people again. So it's all transactional. Is it a big corruption that is going on? And when they're doing this fact finding thing that is coming up, they're going to find so much corruption that I don't see no way that these people shouldn't be brought to the courts. I'm talking about including the people, the contractors, and some of the supporters who are receiving all these corrupt monies, right? So this government is a transactional government. It's not a normal government. And the second point I want to talk about is people. I think people should stop, like I think Leader Norton said, should stop listening to Bar Jagdeo. Because Bar Jagdeo is speaking to his constituency, he's speaking to his people, and the irony about it is that he thinks that his own people, they are so dumb, they are so stupid that they're seeing things on TV. They saw that the parliamentarians and all the opposition people that went to Washington D.C. and they saw pictures of them speaking to these Congress people and all this kind of stuff. They heard the Congressman Jeffries on his Twitter talk about what he spoke about with the parliamentarians and so on. And still, the Bar Jagdeo, as jackass as he is, right? He still could stand up and tell his constituency, his people, he think they're so stupid that these parliamentarians, the opposition people, they were just visitors at Capitol Hill. How stupid could this people be? How stupid could he think these people are, right? So I really do think that his people should stand up a little bit and be like, is this guy think we that stupid? You think he could tell us these kind of things, or we should believe these things? And again, the irony here is that there are people who choose to believe him, right? He talks so much lies and so much nonsense, right? And then he's stuffing something into their pockets and telling them, you know what, believe this, and they believe in him. And not only they believe in it, they spread it. It's the gospel. They're spreading it to other people because so it's ridiculous. How could he think that his own people are that stupid? So we're in a really, really bad state, and these people. This VP government, it needs to be removed, and whatever way, by what means necessary. And I really do think I support your call for protests and all these kind of things. We need to get out there and stop depending on people in the international community to help us. We need to go out there and we need to cause whatever, if it's havoc, whatever we need to do. When push comes to shove, and the international community will have to step in and do what they got to do. But we need to get out there. We need to help ourselves because this is beyond. I don't know what to say. But we need to stop this cry. This train that is moving. It's not good at all for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. I will address the clown of the day this morning. Y'all notice who is the clown of the day? Talking about race hate. talking about people not understanding the electricity situation. I will address the clown of the day just now. Voice note.
Good morning, Kadaki and listeners. I see Miranda Brown is trying to offer an explanation for the blackout situation. I want to ask Miranda, what does it say about a backup plan if she's talking about those large businesses? So what about the small business people? What about the average Guyanese citizen who, as far as I know, is entitled to the same privileges? I don't know why she's giving that offering of an explanation, because all the explanation did was to highlight the fact that the PPP does not put contingency plans in place for certain situations. There's no contingency plan there. So what does that say about the government? It says to me that the sitting government still is operating with tunnel vision, and they're not exploring all the possibilities. According to you, Kadaki, they're not thinking outside the box. Now, the other things that I would like to comment about is the use of the internet. I still feel that we need those young people especially to come up with a solution to synchronize, beside the basic light feeds, to create something that will be on par with the protests, right? And maybe, I don't know what groups we have access to, but maybe we should start sharing our discontent and those protests in other groups that are affiliated with the oil revenue, groups that are affiliated with anything that highlights the plight of the average Guyanese. We need to think again outside the box. My internet is not so good, so I didn't hear a lot of what Brian Max had to say, but maybe on Free Talk Friday, I will have a go at that. We all know that the government in place right now is not doing what they're supposed to do, and we need to come up with things that are not average. We now have the internet, and we have to use it. For me, you have to use it a little bit more to our advantage. Mr. Granger and the past government, I say all the time, they lapsed. They knew that Sharon Das, it was a possibility that Sharon Das would mess up, and they did nothing about it. I love the opposition. I will support the opposition in any way I can, but they too erred. So while Brian Max and the others may be saying certain things, we have to admit that some persons in the opposition party messed up. They did not deliver. And so, given another opportunity, I trust that we will come better and do better. That's all I have to say. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to really listen to Brian Max, but maybe on Free Talk Friday, I will come with my comments.
Thank you for that voice note. Here's another.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning, viewers. The PPP on life support, soon they would be gone. The on life support, Mr. Hinds.
We heard that one already. Miranda is asking for a decent discussion on issues. Miranda, when you be decent, I will be decent with you. What you offer is what you will get. And it is indecent for you to come here and tell people they don't understand the electricity situation. We understand the electricity situation is simple, plain and straight. You're back in a stupid administration. You're back in a set of idiots. And you're behaving just like them. How is it you can come in and reach a functional system and in about 3 years you screw it up? Unless you're idiotic. There's none so blind as those who choose not to see. I think that's what the saying say. What are you saying to us really? Miranda? That large consumers of electricity have no right on the grid? And so the only solution you get is to remove large consumers from the grid? Or to charge them more or premium prices, whatever you want to put it as? It is every citizen's right to be on the grid. It is the government's responsibility to make provisions for them to get decent service off of the grid. Let me go back to Brian Max. Yeah, Brian Max is saying? Brian Max says, listen, we see Jagio talking about Amila Falls again. But the idiot doesn't understand that Amelia Falls will forever fail because there are several months when that section of river is dry. Why doesn't he go to the tried and tested hydro electric facility which was done since Sharp's bottom days when engineers were allowed to be engineers? And has proven that it is functional and functional up to this day. So is it stupidity for someone to understand that? Or is it stupidity for someone to claim that people don't understand what they're talking about? If you want to be respected, come and behave as though you got sense. So I won't call you the names that I'm tempted to call you this morning. Call you live. Thank you for holding.
Good morning, Kadaki. You're back home.
Yes, I am.
All right. Kadaki, a wonderful show, powerful, educational, is very, very on point. But Kadaki, you cannot tell some of these people anything about the PPP. They are so embedded, wrapped up, their brains are so embedded and wrapped up with the PPP that no matter what you say and how you say it, they are not going to believe. They believe what Jack Dio and the president say to them, and they in bed with them, so they don't care what you say. It's like going through the window. They ain't hearing. They're just listening and they are PPP. They're gonna die PPP and they're gonna come back again PPP. They do not care. So it doesn't matter how you say it. I feel that way. I have Indian friends and they say the same thing to you. Cannot try to tell them anything because they don't care. They just believe in the PPP. And, a lot of them are educated people. Some of them, are not educated people. But still you can look for yourself, listen, and to see all this blackout. People throwing away food. Oh, these small businesses, my goodness, these people just trying to make life a success. How can you do that? Kadaki, right now I'm in Barbados, and let me tell you, I see Mayor put out a market here. They need to, Mayor is their friend, they need to ask Mayor how to help them to produce market proper place for people. So they could see they're flying around, going other places and see what people doing for their people. How come you can't do things for your people? Kadaki, I claim you. Kadaki, I claim you.
Here is another idiotic question. What was a small hydro to build a road to nowhere so that Fripp Motilal, you don't know, is 11 what we should make, man. I mean, What were the resources available then for construction? Have those variables changed? Do we have bigger demands? Do we have much more improved technology that can make Chumari more efficient? Do we have more financial resources that we can use to scale it up? And if you can't see that, then you have no right on this program, because this is not a university, I flop. If you close the government and that's your intellectual ability, quite frankly, I can understand why where we are. Because they say, show me a company, I tell you, you are all as stupid. Some of you are blinded by race that you can't even see the light of day, and some of you are simply dotish. It's 8 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. Of course, the usual thing has happened, you know. Because I notice it happening. When you talk to them and you start addressing that stupidity, what they do? They block your program. And they create problems to the program. I don't care. You can't hide the truth. You can't hide the truth. You could bounce the program, you could throttle the internet, you could do what you want. People eventually gonna hear the truth. Barbados does not produce enough food to feed the people. So hush. Guyana is assisting Barbados to establish a food hub there. Does Guyana produce enough food to feed its people? Is it not true that Guyanese are now importing chicken from Suriname and elsewhere? Just prior to me leaving here to go to the US for that conference, I went into a supermarket and bought imported chicken that was imported from the US. I know people who constantly sell chicken smuggled or imported from Suriname, whichever one you want. I know of a big businessman at Monreport Market that the government has given license to import vegetables from Brazil. Vegetables from Brazil. Eggs from Brazil. So what are you really telling you? People are telling you, for example, imported eggs are being sold in this country cheaper than eggs that are laid right here. So I pity the likes of Miranda Brown. I see how he got some leadership award for food safety. I want to know the international community that bestowed that award and that clone of a president was really paying attention to this country. Or they're just listening to the noise in the market. A whole lot of the food we are consuming right now have to be imported. A whole lot of it is being imported. Can you imagine Jack Deere spent hundreds of millions on a sugar factory, and up to recently we were importing sugar from Guatemala? These are things that people don't pay attention to, but we know. Follow life.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. I know that sometimes these things do get to you, but as Guyanese, we need to fight, and we need to fight smart. So I would like to ask Guyanese, as a Guyanese, how many persons or people on this program actually owns the Guyana flag? I have my flag, and I'm thinking that sometimes we need to carry the protest to another level. What we can do as a community and as a person, just get a Guyana flag and you drape that flag on your lawn or on your parapet in front. Maybe we can have a day in which we would have like these flags, like, you know, just showing that Guyana belongs to us and that we would take it back at all costs. So as we fight is just a little idea. I have my flag. Sometimes I would tie my head with my Guyanese flag and I go my way. So Guyanese, get your flags and we can arrange something. Let's claim our land. It belongs to us as we fight for a better government and a better Guyana. You have a good day, and God bless you as usual. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. I have a voice note to play. I'm going to play this one, and this should end the program. It's food security. We ain't got no food security. We ain't got no security. We got set of dunce trying to masquerade in government. All they're doing is thief. And got people like Miranda supporting them on their ignorance. I'm looking for a voice note. I hope this is the right one. No, this is not the right one. Maybe not hearing it.
From Brazil, the government importing. Ask them about the chicken from Brazil, the government importing. How much truckload of chicken coming down every week and how it reach down to the poor people or people in Georgetown. Ask them who they supporting the chicken to. Supplying the chicken with. We ain't getting no fucking chicken from nowhere.
I think that's an apt way of ending the program, quite frankly. Right? And this person who is talking knows what she's talking about. We got food safety. We got no food safety, man. We got a set of clowns masquerading as if they care about people. Can you imagine in this country there's a shortage of pigs, swine, cow? The livestock industry is suffering in this country. Do you know that? Ask the butchers. Ask the people who have butcheries, meat stalls, find out from them what's happening in this country when it comes to livestock. We ain't producing crap. All we producing is corruption. Y'all have a good day. Goodbye. See you tomorrow for another program of Guyanese Morning Time. Remember, for those of you who are listening, this week's menu for the Creole Fridays is home style chicken fried rice. Go ahead and place your order, pre-order, and everything will be good. So we can deliver to you on time. Come down to Club Twilight Friday night for karaoke. Yes, come and have a good time. Bye-bye. And in case I got blackout, we got generated Club Twilight. Yeah. We have generated. You know, a friend of mine, jokingly, I want to say jokingly, gave me 2 rechargeable lights in the US the other day. We were checking through some things in a bond and they say, hey, look, I got 2 rechargeable lights. I know y'all always got blackout. Carry them back with you in case you got to use them at the airport to see. Not 24 hours past when we start hearing about this one-time blackout. Blackout. God have mercy. These shameless criminals in government. We're going back to basics. Let me play a video for you. Going back to basics. Y'all didn't up on nothing. Miranda Brown, y'all said bury your head in shame. Bury your head in shame. Even in the bad times. Even in the bad times, when we didn't have resources, Guyana was doing better than this man.
Back to basics.
Merry New Year, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is straight, die-hard, genuine, authentic Iceland. This is how the story goes.
I went to public utilities and tell them disconnect them facilities, cause me want them. I tried to contact
man, but never in office. Are going to file me an injunction on public service. But every time a heavy rain fall, I me don't have no current at all. They spoil my TV, they spoil my fridge, they nearly kill me with low voltage. Now before they make me a lunatic, I'm going back to basic. I'm going and get a flambeau and lamp with a wick. I'm going back to basic. I call my fans and I call my friends to let them know that if they have a message to send, tell Tempo. And if they come home and they see me, tell me neighbor. Or get a pen and a writing pad and write a letter. Cause the STT does make me weep. One of the days when old pork was cheap, I make a phone call to Alvaro and I get a phone bill to Mexico. Oh my lad, before they kill me and kill me quick, I'm going back to basic. A piece of marling and cooking pan wouldn't do the trick. I'm going back to basic. I went and buy me a motor car for my own comfort, cause I can't take no more torture waiting on transport. But all them potholes and all them bumps, me car ain't able until they invent a car to jump. I will travel. I beg the Lord to please put a hand, touch the hearts of this spare parts man. I used to have a raise in the bank, now every cent gone in me gas tank. Now I prefer roller with piece of sticker. I'm going back to basic. Or buy a 3-speed bike, go in chick. I'm going back to basic. Now the only competent source that really working is when you can't pay your bills on time. They come cutting. Incompetence and disregard. Ain't no humor. Cause the situation is sad for the poor consumer. The word water doesn't give me gripe. I ask for water, then give me pipe. I can't even get me clothes to wash. Me toilet full and can't even flush. Now they make me condemn me toilet bowl. I'm going back to basic. And now I dig in a latrine hole. I'm going back to basic. Yes! You like it? I do. Trinidad Rio. Trinidad Rio. Back to basics. Yesterday, I went to the store to buy a cooler, then get me Indian partner next door to make a chula. I buy a donkey cart from Ramdeen to make a stagecoach, then put some saffron in my latrine to kill the cockroach. I buy a posy made in Hong Kong, the only silver posy in town. Well, if you see the latrine I built, jail is the cleanest one on the hill. All down inside the hole and around the walls. I always splitting. You know why? To make sure cockroach ain't bite me. Trinidad Rio. Rio. Back to basics. Long time me, Gypsy and Kokoro. Back in the earlies, we used to go downtown after show, pick up the ladies, window shop, take them along, buy them a roti, then find the cheapest hotel in town and make a pakoti. But time changes and so do we. So put that down in Kaiso history. But if you should do the same today, it's like a game, a Russian roulette. So now before one of them get me sick, I'm going back to basic. I prefer sit down in a corner and going back to basic. Trinidad.